I'm glad you mentioned conferences because for many B2B SaaS companies, they were the go-to marketing and sales activities. Companies spent huge amounts of money going to conferences, even though many of those conferences likely didn't produce the leads and the ROI that they expected. But there was this expectation that they had to be everywhere. If the competition was there, they had to be there as well. So the question that I have to ask you is, when and if will conferences make a comeback? How do you think companies should approach conferences to drive ROI? And on the flip side, how do conference organizers change the way that they operate their business models, the value propositions to companies, and how do they bring them back in the fray? Because the reality is, conferences got expensive. They're expensive to attend and they're super expensive to sponsor. And it was a great business for conference organizers. I'm not so sure it was a good business proposition for many companies who felt the need to be there. Your thoughts on that?
That's a great point. It was the whole FOMA thing that drove a lot of attendance by vendors to these big conferences. There'll always be these big conferences. I mean, CES last year it was completely down, right? To 45,000 attendees. This year is about 115,000. But it's still off from 2020, which was about 170,000 attendees. There's still people willing to attend, but not at the levels that it used to be. To what I was saying earlier, the kind of smaller, more intimate, more purpose built agendas we're seeing the expected attendance in those. And so we're doing, with a partner of ours, SalesLoft, we're doing these revenue roundtables where it's very targeted audience, very targeted content and real discussion. It's not just a pinball ping pong from one vendor's booth to another. It's a very intimate setting with like-minded individuals, whether it's small intimate dinners or it's conferences that are smaller in scale but very, very strategic, where attendees know they're going to find like-minded individuals. Those are the kind of conferences that we're seeing still attendance be very high, and or at least to expected levels, as people also start to ease their way back into their physical world. That's still a factor that we're dealing with.